What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Nomad. I am here to review Survivor Series War Games 2024 over this way. Another PLE in the books, not the last one of the year. We do have Saturday Night Main Event in a brisk 2 weeks. Very short turnaround between the last two PLEs of the 2024 calendar year. And of course, there's going to be the long delay going into January before the Royal Rumble in the beginning of February. So, of course, this is about the time where you start to see storylines wrap up, storylines begin as we make that push into WrestleMania season, which will be starting after Saturday Night Main Event. Obviously, this is kind of the first transitional period of the Triple H era, and as we all know, wrestling, I don't want to say gets dull around this time, but it does start to take a little bit of an extended period of time to get going back toward the Royal Rumble, and then obviously the push to Mania 41. Obviously, Triple H kind of works in more of a long-term storytelling passion anyway, so I might not notice any difference at all in this period, but I personally loved War Games. Very special PLE for me. I am recording this review. As you guys know, I typically do these reviews live the Sunday after the event. I'm recording this Monday night. I just got home from work recently. Main reason I'm recording this is because, obviously, Thanksgiving weekend, I was gone. I did not get home until late last night. I actually got to watch this with my mom and my sister. It was the first time, and my brother. It was the first time introducing my little adopted brother to the wrestling world, if you will. So that was a lot of fun. And of course, I think the second or so event that I've watched with my sister. I'm trying to culture these kids. I really am. But I really enjoyed it. They loved it. They weren't crazy about the middle, but the ending, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But obviously, since I am recording this, I don't have Kane, I don't have Rob here, but I do have their ratings. Kane's rating is going to be above me. Rob's, as always, is going to be on the side over there. And of course, mine is behind me. Me and Kane work on a number scale, 0 through 10. Rob works on a letter scale. For Rob's ratings, we have a 0 to a 1 is an F, 2 to a 3 is a D, 4 to a 6 is a C. We obviously utilize a lot of C plus and B plus and C minus to sort of differentiate between which one he's going for there. 7 and an 8 is a B, and then 9 and a 10 is an A. So let's get right into the thick of it here. I didn't take a whole lot of notes, so I'm going to be kind of going off the cuff this time than normal, just because, again, I was kind of enjoying the event with my sister and family rather than sitting here at my computer taking notes the entire time, but everything is still really fresh in my head. We're obviously going to kick right off with the women's War Games match. I honestly did not know if this was going to be well. As you can kind of see in Kane's review here as well, this match started off dog shit. Now, Rob did not think so. I was talking with Rob about this. Rob didn't notice the same things me and Kane and most of the internet noticed, ironically. He didn't think that it was timing issues. He thought that some of the chair shots were weak, and he thought that there was quite a few botches, but he didn't think that they were caused by time. He just thought they were botches. I dove a little bit deeper when I was watching this, and I felt like it seemed like the weapons weren't in the right place. A lot of the women were running around the ring trying to figure out where things were. Raquel at one point even asked the ref, "Where is it? Where is it?" And the ref said, "I don't know." And she went into the ring without anything. So I don't know if there was confusion on their end. I don't know if there was confusion on the referee's end. I don't know if there's a confusion on the setup team. I don't know who dropped the ball, if it was a combination of things. I mean, even when Io Sky went to grab her trash can, when she came in, she checked the front of the ring first, and it looked like she tapped the top of her head when the ref asked her if she was okay. I think she knew she messed up there. Everyone else, they looked flustered. They spent a minute of their 3 minutes of action looking for items. And I feel like that threw off the timing of everything that was supposed to happen. I mean, Raquel's 3 minutes were basically all ad-libbed. And you could tell based on, quite frankly, how slow and plotting everything was. So I was not a fan of the first half of this match. However, when all the women got in, and you start to see things, okay, let's pick this back up where we're supposed to pick up and just fuck the rest, right? Just forget everything that we had written down up to this point. Let's get into what we had planned here. When things started to flow and the more experienced women got involved, and I hate to say it, but no offense to Raquel or Nia or Liv or anyone like that, but when the more experienced and, quite frankly, better women got involved, that's when things started to pick up here. Tiffany Stratton looked great. Candice LeRae looked good, but I feel like they didn't give Candice enough. I'm 100% in the Candice LeRae corner. I know I have a lot of friends, Rob and John, to be specific, since you guys see them a lot in these reviews. They're not a fan of her whatsoever. They think they didn't like her in NXT. They don't like her now. They kind of wish she was let go with her friend, and I don't agree with that. I've seen what she can do in the indies. I've seen the clips. I've seen the videos. I've seen the pictures. I know this girl can go hardcore. I feel like WWE handcuffs her, and I feel like they handcuffed her in this match again. She didn't really get to do a lot that I would expect her to be able to do. I thought Tiffany Stratton came out as the MVP of Liv Morgan's team. Once again, I don't know if it's booking. I don't know if Liv Morgan can't ad-lib. I don't know what it is. Liv Morgan got nothing here. I thought Raquel didn't do a lot here. I thought the heel team overall performed rather poorly. And again, I don't know if it was booking or if they just didn't ad-lib well in those periods of time, but I thought every single member of the heel team not named Tiffany Stratton came out looking like y'all shouldn't be champions right now. I truly feel like Nia Jax got the brunt of it. She's been getting horribly assaulted online. I don't agree with what everyone's saying. It's like she had a bad match, but everyone's acting like the last 6 months haven't happened. Nia Jax has looked great up until now, and everyone's acting like that stuff never happened, and I don't agree with that. I think she had an off night 100%. I really don't think she's good at ad-libbing, and most wrestlers aren't. You can tell the ones that are. She's not one of them, and that's fine. She needs things to be a bit more structured, and things got out of hand, and you could tell. I don't think one bad night is enough to write off her entire reign. I don't think one bad night is enough to erase everything she's done in 6 months, but I also know how the IWC works, and unfortunately, based on what I've seen today on Twitter, she's fallen into the trap of feeding into the IWC monster, and it has not gone well for her, and I hope she's okay. But the faces in this match, when they got going, chef's kiss, beautiful. I thought Rhea looked amazing. IWC, you will never make me hate Rhea Ripley. She is forever my mommy. You will never make me hate this woman, and I thought she was excellent in this match. I thought she played her role well. She looked amazing. The mask was great. The eye makeup underneath the mask was great. I thought she looked good. Bianca Belair still got it. Bayley still got it. I thought Naomi looked amazing in this match. She looked like she was having fun. Happy belated birthday to her. She got the birthday win. And of course, Io Sky. I'm sorry. I think Io Sky should beat Liv Morgan at Saturday Night Main Event. I know Rhea Ripley's probably going to cost Liv, and that's how Io's going to win. I don't care. Put the belt on Io. Let Io run with the championship, because get the belt out of the Rhea Ripley-Liv Morgan feud. It has to leave the feud. If you're not going to end the feud with Rhea Ripley winning back the title, give it to Io and just fight without the title. That's all I can say. If you're going to stretch this out to WrestleMania like it seems like they're going to try to do. Overall, I thought the match ended very well. I thought the match came together very well. The Swanton by Tiffany Stratton was amazing. Moonsault with the trash can by Liv was amazing. Overall, I thought this match evened out to an 8. I thought this match ended up becoming maybe not an 8. I'll say a 7, just because again the horrible beginning, the lots of botches and timing issues. I'll cap it at a 7. I will say, but it's still a B. I left this match enjoying it a hell of a lot more than I thought I was going to at the beginning. As you can see on the side, Rob agreed with me, gave it a B as well, and it looks like we're getting 7s across the board here. Kane said, a pretty sloppy match in the early stages before all participants have made their way into the cages. Improved once the match officially begun, but it was still a little messy with multiple spots going wrong. The two highlights of this match by far were Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky, who not only had excellent chemistry together, but with everyone else. Tiffy's dive into the crowd from the top was great. Io Sky doing a goddamn moonsault with a trash can on her head was absolutely insane. I love that woman. I agree. I feel like that's one of the main things. Like, we all have different opinions in wrestling. That's just how it is. I feel like me and Kane are 100% on the same side of Io Sky as the best women's wrestler, probably in general right now. But again, we might have that discussion in a few weeks, so keep in mind on that one. The match ended with Rhea Ripley, who had some absolutely incredible ring gear, pinning Liv Morgan. Liv continues to be a waste with the belt, holding the division back and looking weak. I agree. I don't know if it's booking. I don't know if it's Liv. I don't know if it's a combination of the two. Get the belt off of her. That's how I feel right now. And honestly, if Nia Jax is going to let the IWC get to her like she has, I think you might have to take the belt off of her too at Saturday Night Main Event. I think Tiffany Stratton should cash in. That's my opinion on it. But yeah, I agree. We all gave it a 7. 7s across the board. We are going to move on to the next match. Next up, we have LA Knight, who was the champion coming in, versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the U.S. title. And Shinsuke Nakamura finally got a win. I know there's people in the IWC that think that man is washed. I know that most American fans do not care about Japanese wrestling, regardless of what the general consensus is, that Japanese wrestling is arguably the most entertaining if you watch it just strictly for the wrestling. Storylines are usually where IWGP struggles at, but the wrestling is usually the most entertaining. It never seems to translate to the WWE. It never seems to translate properly to AEW. I don't know what it is about the Japanese style, but no one else can do it unless you are trained in it. So Shinsuke Nakamura is one of the very few that actually tries to implement the Japanese style to America, and no one can keep up. It doesn't look good if you're not both doing it. And I think that's where most of Shinsuke's issues have been. And what I loved personally about this match is Shinsuke didn't need to. He didn't evolve. He evolved his bag. He evolved his weapons. He evolved his tools. He evolved his moves. He evolved his ring psychology, utilizing the double ring structure that you had here at the War Games. The finish was him basically bouncing the back of LA Knight's head on the metal in between the rings. And while it's a dirty move, it's technically not a no DQ. Because it's there. That's not a weapon. It's not like he picked it up and hit him with it. He used the structure, which is exactly what I'm shocked more people don't do, is use the structure. Was it heelish? Absolutely. Did it somewhat taint the victory? Not really, because again, he didn't cheat. So I thought the ending was great. I thought LA Knight looked good. I was actually thoroughly impressed with the whole thing. I gave this match a 7 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish. Obviously, Kane and Rob disagreed a little bit. This match is going to average out to a 6 because Rob gave it a C+, Kane gave it a 5, I gave it a 7, so obviously that's going to average out to a 6. But Kane said, "I'm not sure what to make of this new Nakamura. I like the presentation of the entrance," which I definitely agree with. Gave me some House of Black vibes from AEW, but less goth. I like the new Shinsuke in ring in terms of his aggression. A slower, more deliberate pace would normally be a concern, but the strikes of Nakamura were crisp enough to make the less energetic style work still, similar to what I was saying earlier. I don't really think these two have much chemistry, however. It's no secret that I'm not Knight's biggest fan bell to bell, and that hasn't changed, but there wasn't anything bad about the match per se. Just a lack of wow for me outside of the results. Curious to see what they do with this new Nakamura, but I felt the flat finish to Knight's reign. If Nate winning the belt was a yeah, Knight losing the belt was a yeah, sure, why not? So I can see where he's coming with that. Again, a 6 is where it's going to average out. We'll stick with there. The one thing I will say about Nakamura winning, I'm really glad they gave Nakamura an actual win in a feud for once. So many times, you can't really take Nakamura seriously because he always seems to lose. They finally gave him a feud where you can convincingly see him winning. You knew he wasn't going to beat Seth. You knew he wasn't going to beat Cody. And then he disappears. So I'm really, really, really glad that they actually gave him a feud he could win. They actually gave him a win so you can actually start taking him seriously now. Overall, Shinsuke needed the win. LA Knight need the loss. That's a question to be determined. Next up, we have the IC Triple Threat. The Intercontinental title triple threat match between Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. I loved this match. I really did. This match was perfect. I would go so far as to say this match was the perfect. I don't want to say length, but it was the perfect combination of wrestlers to do a 10 or 15 minute match, because you know they're not going to make them super long because of the 2 War Games matches. But to make a 10 or 15 minute match feel like it lasted both 20 minutes and 10 minutes at the same time is an insane combination. Rob said that he felt like the match was a little bit too short for him, which is why he only gave it a B+ and not an A. I disagree. I thought the match was perfect. There was no downtime. This was the perfect way to do a triple threat. And honestly, I will go as far as to say that this is triple threat. This is Triple H's bread and butter, is triple threat matches. Every single triple threat match, I feel like, in this Triple H era has been good. The women's Intercontinental title triple threats have been great. I can't wait to see what the women's United States title tournaments are. going to look like. They've all been fun. They've all been good. You saw it with the World Heavyweight Championship triple threats to set up those matches. They've all been good. If they're for titles, they've been good. On PLEs, they've been good. This is his bread and butter. He is great at booking these triple threats. He's great at putting the right people in them, and he's great at putting the right steps in motion in terms of making them all work. Great setup as to why Ludwig Kaiser would go above and beyond to make sure Sheamus can't win it. Awesome making Sheamus this close to winning the one title that he's never won. And then also an excellent showing by Braun Breaker, who has once again broken the internet with what I quite frankly might think is the best shoulder tackle I have ever seen in the WWE. If you have not seen it, look up the clip. That man comes out of nowhere, leaps 6 feet in the frickin' air to shoulder tackle Ludwig Kaiser, and then somehow land properly so he doesn't crash into that prime bottle, which, Jesus Christ, when can that one end? But it was incredible. I loved every moment of this. I've always been a fan of Sheamus, even when other people's weren't. I love Ludwig Kaiser. I'm happy he got a PLE spot, and I think Braun Breaker is possibly the future top heel in the company. I think he absolutely can step into the Roman Reigns shoes and be the big bad. We don't need Brock Lesnar. We have Braun Breaker. That's my opinion on it. If you build him properly, if you put Paul Heyman behind him, you have a new Brock Lesnar. We don't need him to come back. Braun Breaker is the real deal. I gave this match a 10 out of 10. Rob gave it an 8 out of 10, as I said, just because of the time, and Kane gave it a 9, so it is going to average out to that 9. Kane said this match was a banger as expected. From the 3 men involved, Sheamus, Braun, and Kaiser all looked absolutely incredible throughout the match. Kaiser especially as the definitive heel presence of the trio. Of course, because Braun Breaker's sort of a tweener, and openly a tweener. He's going to be do heel things to good guys and good things to heels, while Sheamus is obviously the face of the match. His physicality and acting being just outstanding as he sells the power, strength, and speed of his opponents. Plenty of incredible near falls, in particular the Brogue kick to Braun, which would have ended the match if not for Kaiser's interference, pulling the ref out and stealing Sheamus' hopes away. Braun, meanwhile, continues to be that guy. The dive to the announce table, the mad flying clothesline to Kaiser, the spear to Kaiser that genuinely looked like it could have divided him into 2 smaller men, the insane Frankensteiner. Braun is just money, and I could watch this guy again any day. So me and Kane are once again on the same train of Braun Breaker's the future. I know me and Rob and John have mentioned a couple of times that they both think that Braun Breaker needs about another year of seasoning before he's ready to take in that role. No arguments there. I think we can all agree on that, but I do think we can all agree this match is probably the match of the night, to be perfectly fair. Kane got a little bit long-winded here, so you're going to see kind of a cross-section in my head here. But next up, we have Gunther versus Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship. This was a win back for Gunther. Gunther won this match. And we'll, of course, talk about the controversial ending in a moment. Gunther needed this match. I loved the build-up to this match. Damian Priest said it best a couple weeks ago on Raw. In the ring, Gunther is the ring general, but on the streets, Damian Priest is king. Unfortunately, this match took place in the ring, not in the streets. Gunther ended up coming out on top. I love technical wrestling. I love the back and forth of technical wrestling. I love the suspense. I love the striking of Damian Priest. I love the selling and the comeback potential of Gunther. I love how he just consistently looks like he is catching a second wind. Like if you were to describe a video game character from WWE, you describe Gunther. You get like the red on certain body parts, and you start to have to bulk yourself up to win and come back from behind. Like, that's Gunther in a nutshell, man. He is the perfect wrestler, in my opinion. He's not flashy, he's not super powerful, but he's the perfect wrestler in terms of technical skill, selling, and convincing offense. And every single match, he's convincing. He looks winded after the matches. He looks dominant in his wins, and even in his losses, he still comes out looking on top. Just look at the Cody Rhodes loss, which actually kind of built into the story of here where Gunther was not super confident. He did everything he could to gain his confidence back, and that is why I don't know how I feel about the Finn Balor interference, except for the fact that Gunther commenced to kick his fucking head off. Gunther doesn't need help. He doesn't want help. This tainted the win for him. And I would love to see what happens in Raw in 15 minutes as of recording this. If Gunther's going to team up with Damian Priest. I'm recording this at 7:44 p.m. You can see it down there in the bottom. I'm recording this 15 minutes before Raw. So, if I am correct in fantasy booking Damian Priest and Gunther teaming up to take out the Judgment Day, You technically didn't hear it here first because there's no way in hell I'm editing this before Raw goes up, but you heard it here first, okay? Anyway, overall, I like this match. I gave this match a 7 out of 10. This might be the one time that I actually disagree. Disagree with Kane. Me and Rob are on the same boat here. I gave this match a 7 out of 10 just because they aren't flashy. This is not a match that I will think about weeks down the road and go, I remember that Gunther Damian Priest match. Whereas the first one, I remember it more, ironically, because of the Finn Balor interference. This one, I felt the Finn Balor interference actually took away from the match. But it may lead to further storylines down the way. Personally, I'm kind of done with the Damian Priest Judgment Day feud, but I'm also kind of done with Judgment Day in general. This Temu version, it ain't hitting. I wanted to give it time, just like I gave Bloodline 2.0 time with Solo Sikoa. They grew on me. They made me want to see that faction continue with Jacob Fatu and Solo and the Tongans. I want to see that continue. I don't want to see the Judgment Day continue anymore. I think it's time we wrap that up entirely. But yeah. As far as this match is concerned, Kane said, the story they've been telling with Gunther after his loss to Cody has been interesting. A crisis of confidence story is a little odd for a man who's held a title for 2/3 of his WWE career and has always bounced back from losses well, but it is a good wrinkle to the character. This played well in the match too, with Priest managing to out-wrestle the ring general for the early stages, pushing Gunther to his limits and making him confront that lack of confidence. You see Gunther growing confidence physically throughout the bout, tapping into his ring general persona, and using strategy to target weakened limbs, all of which Priest sold well. That arm was, again, I love technical wrestling. I love limb psychology. You work that arm, that is what Gunther does best. That's how he wins matches. And once again, he won the match using it. All of which Priest sold well and valiantly fought back against. The dynamic flipped from the early stages, showing the resolve of both men. Sadly, the never-ending story of Finterference strikes again as Balor attacks Priest. This would lose more points if not for two things. The first is Gunther attacking Balor. I agree. Gunther doesn't like interference, treating the ring and matches with respect. Secondly, it means that this win wasn't clean, so Gunther's confidence can't fully be mended, and Priest can still have a claim. So, he gave it an 8 out of 10. Me and Rob both gave it a 7, so obviously the law of averages there is going to come to like a 7.33, so that's where it's going to stick. Overall, not a bad match. It's still a B. It was still entertaining. Just maybe, I thought the match was better than their first match. I think the finish is going to end up being less memorable, which unfortunately is going to make it so the match isn't quite as memorable down the road like their first bout was. Whether you think it's better or not, like I said, 2/3 of the match was better. Last third, unfortunately, I enjoyed the previous bout more. And finally, we have the men's War Game match between the Bloodline, the OG Bloodline, and Bloodline 2.0. Listen, if you don't know the members of all of them by now, I don't know what you're doing. But Bronson Reed joined the Bloodline 2.0 for this match, assisting Solo early on a couple weeks ago. And then, of course, CM Punk comes back thanks to a favor from Paul Heyman to act as the 5th member for the OG Bloodline. I love the story they told here with CM Punk and Roman Reigns not trusting each other. I love the story that they told with CM Punk. He's not here for Roman. He's here for Paul Heyman. And that's why when everyone was in the ring, Paul Heyman had to come out there to set him straight because they almost fought. Everything almost broke down, but Paul Heyman set him straight. This is War Games. You got to win it. And then CM Punk strapped in because I'm going to win this for my man, my OG, Paul Heyman. And he did. First of all, can we just give a huge shout out and respect for the sacrifices that Bronson Reed and Jimmy Uso made? Jimmy Uso destroyed those I can't wrestle allegations. He looked phenomenal, arguably the MVP of the match. But Bronson Reed literally sacrificed his ankle to absolutely obliterate that table. The timing between CM Punk and Roman Reigns was literally split second perfect. The Uso splash from Jimmy Uso off the top of the cage, the tsunami from Bronson Reed off the top of the cage. I mean, those are big bumps. I mean, Jacob Fatu, he took that bump on the table from Jimmy Uso. Huge props to him. I was told by someone that I was reading that Jacob Fatu was not actually injured. He just he botched that flip and then sold it like he tore his knee to make it so it looked like that's why he botched it. I loved it. Because as a viewer, you have no idea. Then he's walking around on it, so you know he's okay. But I haven't seen anything anything specific on it, whether or not he's actually injured or not, or if they're going to like sell that as an angle or something like that. I don't know yet, but I do know that Bronson Reed will not be at Raw tonight because of his ankle, and Jimmy Uso also fractured his toe. So I cannot give this match a 10 out of 10 personally, even though I thought it was absolutely fucking incredible from bell to bell. Tama Tonga is a fucking lunatic. Him climbing on a cage is so funny. My sister was, again, I was watching with my sister. She goes, why is he acting like a spider monkey when he's like climbing on the cage like Mario? It was like Super Mario 3. Roman Reigns climbing the cage to get in after Solo Sikoa locks it so they can't get in. Like crossbody taking out the entire other team. It was an incredible match. You didn't need weapons. You didn't need the high flying. You didn't need the super damaging tricks. Although again, you still did get the splashes from Reed and Uso. But I love this match, man. I thought it was absolutely incredible. I can't give it a 10 out of 10 because two men got hurt. You never want to see injuries, and unfortunately, with big spots like that, you're bound to get them. So, but I was thoroughly entertained. I loved every single moment of this. I loved the finish of Solo Sikoa going out defiantly, taking 3 finishers and a plethora of super kicks. I thought it ended great. I feel like, oddly enough, the way this story has been told, and the way this story can continue to be told, and the way Solo Sikoa has won over the fans, with CM Punk being in the mix, CM Punk's and Roman Reigns needed the win more than Solo Sikoa needed this win. Which is weird, given how this story started and how the story has gotten here, that we are now at the point where Solo Sikoa's team can take a loss and move right on from it. And continue this story, and it doesn't hurt Solo or his group, because you know in the end, Solo Sikoa is going to lose. I feel like we can all kind of confidently agree with that. I don't think either one of them is going to end up with the Ulafala. I do believe that The Rock is going to come back in and lay claim to that. I 100% can see a triple threat between Solo, Roman, and The Rock brewing in the distance, whenever he's done filming for Moana 2, of course. But I truly think that's where this is going to end up going based on how this match ended. Not that The Rock did anything. I feel like at this point in time, how do you get through WrestleMania season with these two fighting over the Ulafala? You can't give it back to Roman right now because then he's a bad guy, and you can't take it from Solo because, honestly, I'm loving this run for Solo. I don't know where the story is going to end up going. I don't know where it's going to end up leading, but I do know The Rock is going to be involved at some point going into the Netflix era and going into the WrestleMania season. Overall, like I said, 9 out of 10 is what I gave this match. Rob gave it a B, which I guess you could say is a 7, if you want to be really rude about it. But, of course, Kane over here said, an absolute crazy match to wrap up the evening with the Bloodline Civil War featuring Pepsi Phil and Thick Boy Bronson, making for a great War Games match. Really well worked match overall, with Jacob Fatu and Bronson Reed being the big standouts for me personally. Fatu is the man, and the tsunami from the top of the table was simply diabolical. All credit due to Reed for taking that bump, as it looked spectacular, and I hope the injury he's reportedly received from it isn't too severe because he's having a killer year. I agree. I was actually talking to a friend of mine right now. Me and Kane are going to do like our top 5 wrestlers of the year or whatever, or the number 1 men's and women's wrestler. Bronson Reed is on my list. I don't know if he's going to be number 1 or not, but he has forced himself in the top 3. I'll go as far as to say that, because he has been absolutely spectacular this year. I also need to credit Punk and Roman for timing the dodge so perfectly as Reed crashed to the ground. We were nearly close to getting the real OTC if that move connects. One thin corpse. The distrust between Punk and Roman was well played and led to some hilarious images of them next to each other. And it's clearly building to something down the road, with Heyman's favor to Punk now a loose end for the foreseeable future. I agree. Can't wait to see what that favor is going to be. Part of me is a little sad that Team Solo didn't get the win here, as they really do need a bigger win to keep the story interesting. But admittedly, storyline-wise, this felt like the right choice. And I think I agree with Kane here. I think me and Kane are kind of on the same page. Kane seemed to think Solo needed the win more than I do, but I think storyline-wise with Punk, that favor being tossed around and everything is going to require Punk to win. And I think that's why storyline-wise, Punk and Roman winning was the right choice here. I don't know how I feel about both face teams winning War Games this year, but I feel like storyline-wise, the right teams won on both occasions. So I am going to put this match at a 9 out of 10 here, just because me and Kane both agree that it's a 9, and Rob giving it a B. I don't know if he meant an 8 or a 7, unfortunately. He didn't put B plus or B minus, so I'm going to say maybe like a 7.5. I think it's going to average out to like a low 9 points, or an 8.6 or something along those lines. So we'll put it at a 9. I think we can all agree that it was probably up there somewhere. But yeah, this is Survivor Series War Games. One thing I would like to know in the comments down below, if you reached this far in the video, what do you think of War Games? Do you think this should be an annual event, or do you think they should treat this as sort of like a Hell in a Cell and cycle things out? Do you think next year, they've already announced that the next 2K game, the next WWE video game, is going to be a Return to SmackDown versus Raw. Do you think that is insinuating that next Survivor Series is going to be brand supremacy? I personally fucking hate that idea. I am not a fan of brand supremacy. I think it is stupid. I think it serves no purpose. It has never served a purpose except for to be a waste of an event because Vince McMahon didn't know what the fuck else to do. I hate it. I don't want it to come back unless it is done absolutely perfectly with, let's say, the #1 draft pick in next year's draft on the line or something like that. It's the only way I can see it working, and quite frankly, I don't think that it's going to. So that is where I'm going to leave it here, guys. I would love to know your opinions on all the matches down below. What do you think of War Games in general? And what do you think of Saturday Night Main Event? And what are you most excited for about the Netflix era coming up? We'll probably talk about that again in a couple of weeks when I review Saturday Night Main Event. Until then, you guys have a fantastic night, and I will see you next time. Peace.